profound research in terms of the Moors. And as many of you are becoming acquainted with him through your program because his background information is there, it clearly demonstrates that he has done some tremendous work in this area. And we are so blessed today to be able to bring people from all corners of the world here in order for them to share with us our rich history. And I tell you, you could not have been any more proud than Sunday night because in virtually less than 2 hours, I don't know if anybody who could have done a more magnificent job of really tying all of our history together than Dr. Clark did during that period of time. It was a tremendous presentation by Dr. Clark, one in which I know many of us who saw it would have to go back and watch it again in terms of our history. But it really was extremely meaningful. And I hope one day that it is a required showing in every school. I hope that it has that kind of currency where in every school in America, our children can get an opportunity to watch Dr. Clark and others in action. And Wesley Snipes should really be applauded for the great work that he has done in this area. St. Clair Bourne should be applauded for the work that he has done in this area. Louis Potter should also be commended for the work that he's done. And then also a tremendous round of applause for the Schomburg for doing a great job of bringing all of that together. And we can only say Asante Sana and that we are much stronger from it. And I remember that name when Larry Fishburne said that what Dr. Clark meant to him was that after hearing him, he could stand just a little bit straight. He could stand just a little bit straight. And that's real mean. That's real mean. That shows you what some knowledge of yourself and what some consciousness can do for you. It can then turn around and make you want to do something for somebody else. And I hope that that spirit that has captured Wesley Snipes and has captured Lawrence Fishburne will spread all over Hollywood, all over the entertainment and sports area, and allow many of those brothers and sisters to do something meaningful with the money that they are making, because they are standing on the shoulders of somebody else. Had it not been others who opened the door, they would have never been there at all. And it's a sad commentary for them not to know the history and not to know the relationship of those who went before them and really paved the way and became the pioneers so that they could reap the benefits that they have so well reached today. And so in that spirit, we want to thank this brother right here for taking some time out of his business schedule, as most guests do who come here on Wednesday evenings from far away, because it is an inconvenience. And yet, when they do come, it shows the commitment and love that they have for us and the need that they recognize to spread our history far and abroad. And so, at this particular time, we want everybody to get on their feet and put their hands together for our keynote speaker tonight, who will be the next voice that you will hear at this microphone, Dr. Pimienta-Bey. Let's give Dr. Bey a warm round of applause. Dr. Pimienta-Bey. All right.
If you all will excuse me for 1 second. First of all, let me say Imhotep, Abarigani, Islam, and good evening. As I sat listening to Brother Maddox, who again I have to thank for having me come back again and have an opportunity to share, I was remembering how I felt when I first heard about Sister Betty Shabazz and her grandson. I remembered how my first reaction was of course, to become very angry, because my initial hearing of this was actually on NPR, which is National Public Radio in West Virginia. And they had said that Betty Shabazz had been burned in a fire and that there was some criminal act involved, but they didn't say, and this was on Sunday, they didn't say, at least on NPR in West Virginia, that it involved her grandson in some way. And then I learned yesterday, in speaking to my brother Mario, who was here this evening, who lives in New York. In fact, he's the one that informed me as to what had happened. And my first reaction was to, of course, get very upset with the grandson. Because the way that it was then presented, when I heard it also on the media, because then on the news it came out, I'm thinking, what would possess this young man to do that to his own grandmother? Now, as a student of history, of course, I shouldn't have even had that thought, because what possesses us to do certain things, if he did it at all, it is our own self-hatred and our own insanity. And what is that born of but white supremacy and Eurocentric hegemony? So I began to ask the question, well, you know, let me put this all into perspective, and then hearing about the involvement of bringing the reporters into the courtroom and so forth, again, reevaluation. And this is the benefit of having an opportunity to come and talk to conscious African people about our conditions, because all of us are blindsided by our own limited experience and environment. And unless we have forums like this where we can bring people together and begin to discuss this, all looking at the world from an Africa-centered perspective, then we don't take advantage of the holistic wisdom that exists among us all. I'm at a university where the majority of the students is European. I'm at a university where, unfortunately, the 4,000 out of the 27,000 students who are of African ancestry don't pursue courses in general in history that deal with their own backgrounds. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation where I go into a classroom to discuss the legacy of the Moors and the legacy of Kemet, and I look out at a sea of European faces. And I ask myself many times, what am I here for? And then I say, well, I'm here because I'm trying to convey the truth about our African past. But I thought I was going to focus on conveying it to African people. And instead, I find that the audiences, the classes, essentially tend to be European. And this is often a reason for my confusion at times as to what I'm really trying to do. And then I remembered conversations that I've had with some Europeans after they've had my class, or in the middle of class. And what has amazed me is after it's over, I've got European students in the class swearing they got Moorish and African ancestry. Standing up saying, well, my name is Morris, and my name is Morrison, and my name is Moore, and you know, my grandfather came originally from Sicily, and his name is Moravitine. And again, what I realize is that something is happening in spite of the conditions, whether you want to attribute it to, you know, the individual efforts, or attribute it, of course, to the blessed ancestors and the Creator. All these things essentially are interconnected anyway. So when I ask the question of myself, what essentially can I convey as a historian in a classroom, in a forum, that has use, that has value? And what that is, of course, is an understanding not only of who we are as African people in our own nations, or in our own communities, but what our impact has been on the world. So when I chose this topic of understanding the decline of Moorish power and prestige, I wanted to get into a discussion